My friends, have you ever noticed that people love to see you strong until your strength threatens them? The world doesn't always understand your pain, it only reacts to your performance. So when you show your weakness to the wrong people, it's not compassion you'll receive, it's judgment, and sometimes that judgment hurts more than the weakness itself. Weakness is a part of humanity, not a flaw. You see, we've been raised in a world that glorifies strength, success, and confidence, but quietly shames the moments when we stumble, break down, or feel lost. From childhood, we're told, don't cry, be strong, and without realizing it, we grow up thinking that showing pain makes us less worthy, less capable, less lovable. But my friends, what if I told you that weakness is not the opposite of strength? It's the seed of it. Because strength doesn't come from pretending that everything is fine. It comes from surviving what almost broke you. It comes from falling down and saying, I'm not done yet. Every person you admire, every hero, every leader, every saint, they all had moments of weakness. They all had nights where they questioned everything, days when their faith was smaller than their fear. But they didn't hide from those moments. They faced them. They used them. They let their pain polish their purpose. When you accept your weakness, you no longer fight against yourself. You start to understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you begin to grow. You become more compassionate, more humble, more real, because strength built on denial is fragile, but strength built on acceptance is unshakable. So don't let the world convince you that weakness means failure. It simply means you are human. It means your heart still feels. It means your soul still cares. It means life has touched you deeply enough to make you question, cry, and rebuild. The truth is, the most dangerous people in the world are not those who never break, but those who have broken and rebuilt themselves quietly. They carry a peace the world cannot take away. So the next time you feel weak, don't hide it with pride or drown it with distraction. Sit with it. Listen to it. Ask it what it's trying to teach you. Because inside every weakness lies a doorway to a stronger version of you. The version that doesn't need to pretend anymore. Your weakness is not your shame. It's your teacher. It's the proof that you are still alive, still fighting, still becoming. And when you learn to embrace that truth, you don't just become strong, you become unbreakable. Not everyone deserves access to your emotions. Because not everyone has the maturity, the empathy, or the purity of heart to hold them with care. You see, my friends, we live in a world where people listen, not always to understand, but often to respond, to compare, or to gossip. Some will ask, are you okay? Not because they care, but because your pain gives them a story to tell. Others will comfort you in the moment, but deep inside, they feel relieved that it's you who's falling apart, not them. That's why wisdom teaches us guard your emotions like treasure. Your feelings are sacred. They are not meant for every ear, not meant for every heart. You can be open, but you must be discerning, because not every person who smiles with you walks with you. Not everyone who hugs you holds good intentions. There are people who can look into your eyes, see your struggle, and instead of offering strength, they will take advantage of your vulnerability. They'll use your honesty as ammunition when you least expect it. They'll twist your truth to make you question your own worth. And that's the moment you realize emotional boundaries are not walls, they are doors. Doors that you control. You decide who gets in, who stays, and who must leave. You don't owe your pain to anyone. You don't need to explain your tears to people who made you cry. You don't need to justify your silence to those who never truly listen. True maturity comes when you stop seeking validation from every listener and start finding peace in quiet understanding. When you realize that not every friend is a confidant, not every partner is a healer, and not every shoulder is safe to lean on. Sometimes the best way to protect your emotions is not to speak less, but to choose where your words land. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel weak. But do it in spaces that hold love, not judgment. Do it with people who listen not to fix you, but to feel with you. And when you can't find anyone like that, sit with yourself. Because silence, when guided by self-awareness, can be more healing than 1,000 empty conversations. You see, the strongest people are not those who never share their feelings, but those who know when, where, and with whom to share them. They speak not to be heard by everyone, but to be understood by the few who truly matter. So, protect your emotional energy. Don't let everyone have access to your peace. Because when too many hands reach for your heart, they leave fingerprints that can stain your soul. Be kind, be open, but be wise, because your emotions are not public property. They are the language of your soul, and not everyone deserves to speak it. The world respects results, not reasons. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? But it's true. You can have 1,000 reasons why something didn't work out, why you failed, why you couldn't finish, why life pushed you down. And most people will still look at you and say, "But did you make it?" You see, we live in a world that measures strength by success, not by struggle. It doesn't see the nights you spent awake, the silent battles you fought alone, or the courage it took to get out of bed when your heart was heavy. It only sees the outcome, the result, the trophy, the title, the achievement. But here's the deeper truth. The world may not value your reasons, but you must, because your reasons are not excuses, they're experiences. They're the roots behind the tree that others see. Without those roots, there would be no growth, no fruit, no strength. People often say, "No one cares about your excuses." And they're right, no one does. But you should care about your journey, because results are visible to others, but the reasons, the battles, the process are what shape you. When you fall short, don't waste your energy explaining your reasons to everyone. They weren't there when you tried. They weren't there when you cried. They weren't there when you almost gave up, but didn't. They can never truly understand what it took. So instead of defending your reasons, use them. Turn them into the fire that drives your next success. The world doesn't respect reasons, but it notices transformation. When you rise again stronger, calmer, wiser, people may not know why, but they'll feel it. They'll see that something inside you changed. That's when your reasons, all that pain, all that effort, finally speak for you without words. You don't need to explain to everyone why you're struggling right now. You just need to keep moving. Because one day, the same people who doubted your reasons will celebrate your results. And remember, results don't always mean money, fame, or recognition. Sometimes the greatest result is peace of mind. Sometimes the result is becoming emotionally stable in a world that profits from your insecurity. Sometimes the result is choosing silence instead of anger, compassion instead of revenge. So don't rush to prove your worth to a world that can't see your reasons. Prove it to yourself through consistency, through resilience, through patience. Because while the world respects results, life respects effort. The world may forget your story, but God, or the universe, whatever you call it, never does. Every tear, every sacrifice, every setback, it's recorded in the silent space between your heartbeats. And one day, when you rise again, your results will speak louder than your reasons ever could. Until then, don't explain, don't defend, don't justify. Just work in silence. Because when your results arrive, they won't need an introduction. Silence can be a form of strength. In a world where everyone wants to speak, to prove, to react, silence becomes a language of the wise. Because silence is not the absence of words, it's the presence of understanding. It's the space between noise where clarity is born. My friends, most people think silence means weakness. That if you don't respond, you've lost. That if you don't fight back, you've surrendered. But the truth is, silence often speaks louder than any argument ever could. It's the calm confidence that says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to you. When someone insults you and you stay quiet, people might say, why didn't you reply? But what they don't realize is, your peace is your reply. Your restraint is your dignity. Because the moment you let someone's bitterness pull you into their chaos, you've already given them power. And silence protects that power. You see, there are battles that can't be won by words. Some battles are won by patience, by time, by walking away. Silence is not running away, it's rising above. It's choosing peace over pride, healing over ego, purpose over reaction. Think of a lion. It doesn't roar every time a dog barks. It knows the difference between noise and threat. In the same way, you must learn to distinguish between what deserves your voice and what doesn't. Not every opinion needs your explanation. Not every accusation needs your defense. Not every argument deserves your presence. Silence teaches you control. It disciplines the mind and humbles the heart. When you stay silent in anger, you protect your relationships. When you stay silent in misunderstanding, you protect your peace. And when you stay silent in chaos, you protect your energy. But silence isn't always easy. Sometimes your ego screams, speak up, defend yourself, and that's the test. The true test of strength is not in saying what you could say, it's in choosing not to. Because silence doesn't mean you don't know how to respond. It means you know your response won't add value. There's a difference between silence born of fear and silence born of power. Fearful silence hides. Powerful silence observes. Fearful silence avoids. Powerful silence chooses. When you're silent because you understand, that's not weakness. That's mastery. And let me tell you, silence can heal what words can destroy. There are people who learn too late that one angry sentence can ruin a relationship, a friendship, a moment that can never be taken back. Words are arrows. Once released, they can't be returned. But silence can stop that arrow before it even leaves the bow. So the next time someone provokes you, mocks you, or tests your limits, take a deep breath. Remember, silence doesn't mean you agree. It means you're wise enough to choose peace. Your silence says, I will not let you control my mood, my mind, or my mission. Because strength isn't just about fighting battles. Sometimes it's about walking away from them with your peace intact. And when you learn that, you'll realize silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. Heal privately, rise publicly. My friends, in today's world, everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to post their pain, share their sadness, and announce their struggles, hoping that someone will understand. But the truth is, not everyone who watches you is wishing you well. Not everyone who comments, stay strong, actually wants you to heal. There's something sacred about private healing, about quietly mending your heart without the noise of other people's opinions. Because real growth doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens in silence, when no one's watching, when you're left alone with your thoughts, your pain, and your faith. You see, when you heal privately, you take back your power. You stop letting the world define your progress. You stop performing recovery for the approval of others. You begin to understand that you don't need to prove you're getting better. You just need to become better. The strongest people I've ever met didn't announce their comeback. They disappeared. They took time to rest, reflect, and rebuild. And one day they simply reappeared, wiser, calmer, more peaceful. No drama, no noise, just quiet transformation. And that's the beauty of private healing. No one sees your tears, so no one gets to measure your strength. No one knows how deep your wounds were, so no one can tell you how you should feel. You heal on your own terms, at your own pace, without validation, without performance. There's a spiritual strength in silence. When you're alone, facing your pain, and still choosing to stand, that's when your soul begins to grow. Because healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about becoming someone who no longer breaks in the same place twice. But today's culture tells us to share everything: our happiness, our heartbreaks, our healing. And while sharing can sometimes inspire others, it can also drain you. Because when too many eyes are watching your wounds, they can't close. Every opinion, every comment, every question, it reopens what you're trying to heal. So heal privately. Let your silence be your therapy. Don't rush to tell the world your story. Let the healed version of you show it instead. Let your peace speak louder than your pain ever did. One day, when you rise, when your light returns, when your eyes carry peace instead of exhaustion, people will ask, "What changed?" And you won't need to explain, because your growth will speak for itself. Remember, flowers don't bloom while they're being watched. They bloom in stillness under the quiet care of nature. And then one morning, everyone wakes up and says, "Wow, how beautiful." They never saw the darkness, the dirt, the waiting. They only saw the result. That's how you must live. Don't broadcast your healing. Don't post your pain. Don't seek applause for your recovery. Just keep working on yourself in silence. Because when you rise, and you will, your peace, your confidence, your presence will say everything. So when life breaks you, go inward. When people leave you, go inward. When the world misunderstands you, go inward. And when you've rebuilt yourself from the inside out, step back into the light quietly. Because private healing creates public strength. And the greatest revenge against pain is peace. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's wisdom. But the world doesn't always see it that way, does it? We've been taught that to be strong, we must hide our tears. To be respected, we must hide our fears. To be successful, we must never let anyone see the cracks. So we put on masks, brave faces, polite smiles, perfect lives, while inside, we're aching for someone who can simply say, "It's okay, I understand." My friends, vulnerability is not about showing weakness. It's about having the courage to be real. It's the quiet strength to stand in your truth, even when that truth makes you tremble. It takes far more strength to say, "I'm struggling," than it does to pretend that everything is fine. Because vulnerability demands honesty, and honesty requires bravery. But here's the truth most people miss. Vulnerability is not for everyone to see. It's sacred, it's delicate, it's the most unguarded part of your soul. And when you open it to the wrong person, it becomes a weapon in their hands. Not everyone deserves access to that level of truth within you. Because some people listen only to use your openness against you later. Some don't know how to hold your pain. They drop it, they mock it, they compare it. And that's why wisdom is knowing who has earned the right to see your heart unarmored. So no, vulnerability isn't weakness. But it becomes weakness when it's misplaced, when you offer it to those who see it as entertainment instead of empathy. You see, vulnerability without discernment is exposure. But vulnerability with awareness is power. When you open your heart to someone who truly listens, someone who holds your truth gently, without judgment, healing begins. Because we don't always need answers. We just need spaces where we can stop pretending. And the beautiful paradox is this: the more we embrace our vulnerability, the stronger we actually become. Why? Because pretending to be strong all the time is exhausting. But being real is liberating. When you stop hiding your pain, it loses its control over you. When you face your fears openly, they start to shrink. You can't heal what you keep pretending doesn't hurt. There's a quiet dignity in saying, yes, I've been broken, but I'm still here. There's power in admitting, I've failed, but I've learned. And there's wisdom in whispering, I'm scared, but I'm still moving forward. Vulnerability connects us, because no one truly bonds over perfection. People bond over truth, over scars, over shared humanity. When you dare to be open, you remind others that they're not alone. You give them permission to be real too. And that, my friends, is where love begins, not from strength, but from sincerity. But remember, the goal is not to be open with everyone. The goal is to be authentic with yourself, to stop lying to your own heart, to stop suppressing what needs to be felt. Because what you suppress controls you, but what you express wisely in safe spaces frees you. So, vulnerability is not saying everything to everyone. It's saying the right thing to the right person at the right time. It's opening your heart with courage, not recklessness. You don't become weak when you say, I need help. You become wise, because wisdom isn't knowing everything. It's knowing when to lean on others, when to rest, when to ask. So please, don't confuse walls for strength and openness for weakness. A wall keeps everyone out, even love. But openness allows the light to come in, and that's how we grow. In the end, it's not the armor that makes us strong. It's the heart beneath it. And when you can stand before the world, honest, humble, and whole, that's not weakness, that's mastery. Don't react, respond with grace. My friends, there's a big difference between reacting and responding, and learning that difference will change the entire direction of your life. A reaction comes from the ego. It's instant, impulsive, emotional. It's the mind saying, how dare they? Or I'll show them. But a response comes from awareness. It's calm, it's conscious. It's the heart saying, I choose peace over proving a point. When you react, you give your power away. When you respond, you claim it back. Let's be honest, people will test you. They'll misunderstand you. They'll provoke you. Sometimes deliberately, sometimes unknowingly. And in those moments, your mind will burn to react, to defend, to strike back. But remember this, not every action deserves your energy, and not every insult deserves your attention. When someone throws stones at you, you have two choices: to throw them back or to build something with them. Reacting creates more chaos. Responding creates character. You see, anyone can react. It takes no effort to get angry. It takes no wisdom to shout back. But to stay composed when someone disrespects you, that's rare. That's strength. That's grace. Grace doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to see beyond the moment. Because when you react, you're being controlled by the person who triggered you. But when you respond, you're being guided by your higher self. There's a story of a monk who was once insulted by a man in public. Everyone expected the monk to respond harshly, but he simply smiled and walked away. Later, his students asked, "Master, why didn't you say anything?" The monk said, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, who does the gift belong to?" They replied, "It belongs to the giver." The monk said, "Exactly. The same goes for anger and insult." That is what responding with grace means. It means not picking up every emotional gift that someone throws at you, especially when it's wrapped in negativity. Reacting is easy when your pride is hurt. But grace comes from seeing the situation through compassion, not competition. Because most people who hurt you are acting from their own pain. They're projecting their own wounds, their own insecurity, their own chaos. And when you understand that, you no longer see them as enemies. You see them as lessons. You don't need to lower yourself to meet someone's anger. You can rise above it silently, calmly, confidently. That's what makes people truly powerful. Not how loud they can shout, but how deeply they can stay still. When you start responding with grace, something magical happens. You stop reacting to everything. You stop being emotionally drained by things that don't deserve your peace. You begin to protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You realize that peace is more valuable than pride. You stop explaining yourself to people who only want to argue. You stop proving yourself to those who've already decided not to understand you. You simply smile because you've outgrown the need to fight small battles. That's grace. Grace is walking away when you could win the argument but lose your peace. Grace is forgiving when your ego says never. Grace is keeping your calm when chaos surrounds you. Grace is saying, "I could respond with fire, but I choose light instead." You see, storms can destroy everything, but they also wash the dirt away. And just like that, grace cleanses your soul. It doesn't mean you accept wrong behavior, it means you refuse to become it. So, the next time someone provokes you, remember you are not a puppet and your emotions are not strings for others to pull. Pause, breathe, smile, and respond not from your wound but from your wisdom. Because anyone can react. But it takes strength, emotional maturity, and divine awareness to respond with grace. And that's the kind of strength the world needs more of today. Turn pain into power. My friends, every one of us has known pain. Some carry the pain of betrayal, some carry the pain of loss, some carry the pain of dreams that never became reality. Pain is universal. It doesn't knock on your door politely. It walks straight in, uninvited, and rearranges everything inside you. But what truly defines you is not whether you experience pain, because everyone does. It's what you do with it. You can let pain break you, or you can let it build you. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. The choice is yours. Pain has a purpose, even though it doesn't feel like it when you're in the middle of it. When you can barely breathe, when the nights feel endless, when the silence feels too loud, pain is not your enemy. Pain is your greatest teacher, because pain awakens something inside you that comfort never could. When everything is easy, we rarely grow. But when life burns us, bends us, and breaks us, it's then that we start discovering who we truly are. Every scar on your heart tells a story. a story of survival. It says, I've been hurt, but I've healed. I've been broken, but I'm still standing. And that's what makes you powerful. You see, diamonds are formed under pressure, gold is purified in fire, and human beings, we are refined through pain. Without the storm, you'd never learn how to sail. Without the fire, you'd never learn what's indestructible within you. But here's where most people get stuck. They get addicted to their pain. They replay it, they relive it, they wear it like an identity. They let their past define their present, and their suffering becomes their story. Don't let your wounds become your worth. Don't let your past become your prison. Pain is meant to shape you, not stay with you. Ask yourself, what did this pain teach me? Did it teach me patience? Did it teach me strength? Did it teach me who truly stands beside me when life gets hard? Because once you find the lesson in your pain, it stops being punishment and becomes preparation. Every heartbreak prepares you for deeper love. Every loss prepares you for gratitude. Every failure prepares you for wisdom. When you start to see pain this way, it no longer controls you. You begin to turn it into purpose. You channel it into art, into service, into compassion. You stop saying, why me? And start saying, try me. Look at the most inspiring people in history. They didn't rise because they were untouched by pain. They rose because of it. They used their suffering as fuel. They turned wounds into wisdom and pain into purpose. There's a kind of power that comes only when you've been through the fire and refuse to let it destroy you. When you can look at the thing that almost broke you and say, thank you, you made me stronger. That's when you've mastered life. Because the truth is, pain never leaves you empty-handed. It either leaves you bitter or it leaves you better. It either leaves you angry or it leaves you awake. The difference lies in how you choose to interpret it. So, don't just survive your pain, transform through it. Turn your heartbreak into humility. Turn your loss into love. Turn your suffering into service. And remember, pain is temporary, but the strength it gives you can last forever. The fire that once burned you will one day light your path. One day, when you've healed, you'll look back and realize that the pain that once felt unbearable was actually the turning point of your life. It didn't destroy you, it designed you. So when life hurts, don't curse the pain. Bow to it, learn from it, grow through it. Because pain is not there to stop you. It's there to shape you into someone powerful enough to carry your purpose. And when you rise again, stronger, wiser, kinder, the world will see your power, but only you will know the pain that created it